to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 282 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, June 5th, 2023. I'm your host, Erik Young, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, we're recording tonight. First try, first run through. And ready to get the show on the road. We're going to talk about Gateway. Hopefully the power doesn't go out during the discussion. But if it does, we will make do. We will show a horse racing commercial like Fox did. That's what
Why did you even have to say anything?
There's no storms or anything. I mean, it's not going to happen, right?
I don't know.
I'm tempting fate, man. I'm tempting fate. It sounded like fun
I'm not
tonight.
confident in anything. Yeah, I'm not confident in anything anymore.
It sounded like
I'm just not.
It sounded like fun to mess with fate tonight.
You might as well. I mean, it can't be any worse than last week. So
right? No, it doesn't. It doesn't get. It doesn't. The only way it could have been worse last week, James, is if we would have stopped and you'd have left, and then I'd have realized we didn't record.
Oh man. I would have canceled the whole thing. I would have shut it down.
Well, there was the 1 week I uploaded the wrong episode.
Oh, that was a gem too. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least that one we recorded the correct one.
Well, yeah. Quality control, I guess. Make sure we got all that.
See, the problem is you have to have quality to have quality control. That's where our downfall is.
That's right. That's the and there's the punchline. That's right.
But somebody did have quality this weekend, James.
Yeah, man.
KFB.
That guy.
KFB. On the anniversary of Hold My Watch.
Yep.
Now he can hold the trophy. Wow.
Good stuff. Third win of the season for old KFB. Gets his win at Gateway. I don't know where he's at now with wins on tracks.
I guess 27 now?
Yeah, but I don't know what percentage that is of the tracks, because we added tracks now that he hasn't won at, so I don't know where it falls. I didn't do that research before this episode, because again, quality.
I think he's got freaking wins everywhere.
He does,
except for Chicago Street.
Yeah, no, not Chicago Street. I don't think he hasn't won on the Roval yet, right?
That's another one. Yep.
And he hasn't won on the Indy Road Course.
Right.
He hasn't won at North Wilkesboro. He's won at Indy.
That doesn't count yet. That's an exhibition. I guess I won't put that one on his tally.
Trying to think. Is that it?
There's not many. that's the point.
Because he had one on all of them, and then we added tracks.
Yeah, he was one shy or something like that. But yes, he was. Yeah, but your long tells the whole story because he's won freaking everywhere. It's incredible.
Right.
And Eric, speaking of KFB winning everywhere,
yes.
Starting in 2020 until the end of 2022, Kyle Busch had 4 total wins.
Yeah.
He has 3 now in 15 starts with Richard Childress. So I think Kyle's going to be just fine.
Yeah, safe to say this was the right move for him.
I part of me wonders if that guy could have gone anywhere.
Yeah.
and been fine, because you compare him to Austin Dillon and he's still steps and leaps ahead of everybody else that's out there. So
I think
he's outperforming Gibbs, he's outperforming Reddick. he's everywhere, man.
Part of it comes down to just going somewhere that you're wanted. I mean, it was clear.
Fresh start.
Yeah, it was clear that the relationship at JGR had soured. It wasn't what it used to be, and now you've got somebody like RC, who's, I mean, he had big things. I mean, he compared him to Dale Earnhardt in the post race press conference,
and was desperate for, starving for that kind of talent in his lineup.
Exactly. I mean, he credited Kyle with bringing Richard Childress Racing back. I mean, so this is when you're that wanted and that liked in the role that you're in. When at JGR everybody was winning, so the fact that Kyle was winning or wasn't, it didn't matter as much as it does at Richard Childress Racing, where nobody else is winning.
Yeah, it could be his legacy beyond everything else he's done is kind of like, I mean, let's compare it to a couple of guys here, but Tony Stewart won those championships with Joe Gibbs Racing. goes off and does his own thing with Stewart-Haas and wins a title.
Yeah.
And I think people will remember that title for him more so than the others. And then Kyle has in some parallels here, has something similar that he's kind of working on. If he climbs the mountain one more time with Richard Childress, he's never going to get to 7. He won't be able to tie Jimmy or, Dale or any of those guys. But if he can climb that mountain with this team one time, I mean, that's good for a handful of rings,
right.
If you ask me, because it's so, you could never imagine Richard Childress Racing winning a championship. But no. Now they are right in the picture here as we approach, getting closer and closer to the halfway point of the season. He is right there with Larson and Byron. I think those are the 3 guys right now that you got to think about every week.
And not that I've ever doubted Kyle's motivation, because I think it's pretty clear week in and week out that Kyle wants to win every race he's in, no matter what it is. But, there's that extra bit of motivation this year too, James, because Kyle and he likes stats. Mm-hmm. And there is now another driver in the series that has as many championships as he has, Yes. So that's motivation to him to go out and win another one to knock Joey off that pedestal and be the number 1 guy again. So,
and if he gets to 3, he's in a real special club too. Yeah. I mean, that will. Yeah, I think you and I have been back and forth on this a few times on who's better, him or Smoke. But if he gets to 3, he passes Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
And he passes a lot of guys on the all-time list. So he's we talked about this a long time ago, probably when the announcement was made that he was going to Childress. But you got to remember too, they had Tyler Reddick, mm-hmm. and they had their whole future laid out in front of them. And I remember you and I saying, Tyler Reddick would be everybody's number 1 draft choice, across the garage.
Right.
But if you get Kyle Busch, that's one of the handful of guys that are upgrades over anybody.
Yeah.
And right now it's proving out that Kyle Busch, he's as good as Tyler Reddick is, and we like what we see from William Byron. There's only one Kyle Busch, and he's special when he's hitting. And man, he start to finish, he hit this one pretty well. Wasn't like he was completely dominant, but fairly dominant. I mean, he led 121 laps. So
that's what I was going to say. That's Kyle Busch's season, and that's what's scary, really, James. Is so he's got 3 mm-hmm. wins now. He's tied with William Byron for the most wins this season. He led 121 laps in this race. In any aspect of anything, you would look at that and go, he dominated. But it didn't feel like he mm-hmm. dominated, and he certainly hasn't dominated the season. He has run well and run poorly in spots and run really well in others. But they're not clicking yet, I don't think.
Not yet.
There's upside yet here that if they really start clicking, it could get dangerous for these guys. I mean, maybe that doesn't happen anymore, unless your name's Kyle Larson, because he just about freaking did it again this weekend.
Yep.
But I mean, when Jimmy lost the horseshoe, Kyle Larson found it somewhere at the Hendrick shop, but.
Well, sometimes I wonder. Yeah. Like, he's got terrible luck. Kyle Larson's never in the middle. He's either really good or there's something terrible happening.
Right. Yeah.
But
well,
most of the time
they showed on Fox checkers or wreckers this year. It's certainly been that case.
But
I think that's his career in general. I mean, if you look back at dirt tracks and stuff, he's kind of historically been like that.
Yep, always all out, always. Yep.
But yeah, so Kyle's got a lot of upside yet coming that we could see at some point this season.
Yeah, and the way he won Fontana, and I was wondering, kind of like, maybe he was really good. Remember at the start of the season, he was rattling off top 5s.
Yep.
And now you look at the races he's won. He's won at a 2-mile Fontana. Similar to maybe Homestead a little bit. He's won at Talladega, which is also in the playoffs. And then you've got Gateway, which has some similarities to Phoenix, which we saw last year with Logano and Blaney.
Yeah.
As well as they ran at Gateway, and then they come to Phoenix and they run really well there and walk away with the championship. So, yeah, I mean, you see a little bit of a path here where if Kyle Busch can kind of just stick with it here and keep this momentum going into the playoffs, he's going to be in good shape.
Yep. Definitely.
You gotta like the diversity of the wins right now. He's not a one-trick pony by any means. He's won at all phases, and I don't. we're heading to a place at Sonoma this week, which if Kyle Busch goes out there and wins that race, that wouldn't surprise me either.
No, me neither. He's been good there before.
Yep.
From one end of the Richard Childress Racing spectrum to the other, Austin Dillon gets in a wreck, courtesy somewhat of Austin Cindric. Dillon and a bunch of Dillon fans want Cindric suspended. James, what are your thoughts on this
Here
incident?
we go.
Is this just remnants from last week, or is there like something legit NASCAR should look at here?
Well, and Austin came on the interview post wreck and was like, "He did it on purpose. He needs to be suspended." And I just thought,
yeah, but he's pissed off. I mean, it was 140 degrees in those cars. I mean,
I know. I just NASCAR better, as defiant as we were last week that Chase Elliott should have been suspended, and we were both in agreement of that. This one, they better not.
Yeah, this one feels like a racing incident to me.
Dillon came up on him, and in my opinion, watching the video, I didn't see any direct left hook. Cindric won't get suspended for this.
No, I don't think so either.
But
that Chase Elliott was so blatant. When that car went straight and then jerked left, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Eric, are we in a dangerous place here with this now?
We could be.
I mean, I don't want to see somebody get suspended for something they didn't intentionally do.
No, but I mean, I feel like we've got the data. NASCAR has the data. I mean, they might not have it for Gateway because the power went out and nobody had the data. But I feel like the tools are there. I was more worried about the Denny Hamlin penalty than the Chase Elliott one. I think Chase's was pretty clear, and Dave Moody said it on his show today. We've had two drivers in the history of NASCAR essentially get suspended for right hooking somebody. I don't anticipate that this is going to happen. Bob Pockris shared his opinions on social media that essentially something really big would have to stand out for NASCAR to make the decision in his mind. I agree. I just don't think unless you look at the SMT data and it's real obvious he just jerked left and like went full lock. I don't see how you can possibly penalize Austin Cindric for this. And
that's not what happened here. I mean, you watched the video. I mean, if I can tell what I think happened, I don't think.
Well, Cindric has no history of issues with anybody. Sorry to say, Chase does. Chase did it last year with Harvick. He had his run-ins with Denny before. There was history there too, so that affects it too. I don't know. I like you said, I don't see any way that NASCAR, unless there's something that we missed, I just don't see any way that they make any decision on this other than to just let it go. Because you can't police every bit of contact. You just can't. That's not NASCAR. We're not Formula One. Yeah.
Well, I heard on the NASCAR and NBC podcast that Nate Ryan does. He asked Jeff Burton. He said, if we get to a point where we have to be like F1 and we go to the stewards on everything, then we're in big time trouble.
Yeah.
And I agree with that 100%. We don't want to be policed that way because it's just political and it gets kind of gross. Yep. And we just don't need that. I mean, we can, NASCAR is pretty cut and dry. I know they've spent a lot of time in the gray areas from time to time, but I will give them credit where credit's due. They, with a lot of the rules and things that they're handing down, they are not messing around, and they are making it pretty clear what's what. So hopefully this is a easy decision for them.
The other thing that may not have hurt things, and I'm not suggesting that NASCAR holds grudges, but historically they have. Hendrick wasn't really like on the good side of NASCAR at the particular moment this happened either. I mean,
well, neither is Denny Hamlin.
Right, that's true. That's true. And the fans don't like him much either because he's got booed the crap of his poor daughter walking across the stage with him during driver intros. Man, I felt bad for her because he was getting slammed up there. James, what a freaking weird race this weekend was. So like we had
weird all the way
we had the longest rain delay in NASCAR history without a drop of rain. We had the power go out. We had a red flag for the wall getting destroyed. We had Kyle Busch wins the race and gets cheered. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that part of it too.
Yeah,
because
it happened, man. It happened.
Yeah, you and I have talked about that a long time ago.
Yep.
I think we both agreed. This is years ago, but we both agreed on that episode, or many episodes, however many. But we said, all the champions eventually get their due, right?
Right.
And Kyle Busch getting cheered. He left the evil empire.
Yep.
So yeah, he gets to be cheered now.
I had a feeling this was coming when last year they announced that he was going to RCR and everybody started cheering for him to drive the 3.
And he's driving a Chevy.
When you're telling that's the thing. You're driving a Toyota. I'm sorry, NASCAR fans don't like the foreign manufacturers. They don't. And
they just don't.
They have a right to not like Toyota because of that, even though Toyota probably creates more parts in the US than Chevy and Ford do combined. Or at least independently. That's NASCAR. That's been the roots of NASCAR all along. So Kyle going on to the Chevy is definitely a good thing for him. But yeah, when the Earnhardt fans were cheering for Kyle to get the 3, I kind of felt like, okay, the Earnhardt fans are going to adopt him because they're still Childress fans and they want to win, and Kyle's going to do that, and he's doing it. It's funny. It's happened. I mean, all it's going to take is him saying one stupid thing to turn it all around, but as long as he's got Denny Hamlin out there, he's good right now.
Yep.
That's what he needs is a Denny Hamlin feud.
Well, yeah. Just don't feud with Chase Elliott, I guess.
Right.
He'll be fine. Did you see the tweet Sonoma Raceway sent out, by the way?
No,
after
I
Chase
did not.
Elliott's suspension. They said, "See ya." We'll see you in a week. We'll see you in a week or so, Chase Elliott, or something like that. And then they had to delete it.
Oh man, that's funny.
Like, oh, there, yeah. Because we were joking about that with the promoted tweets, but yep. So there it was.
Yeah, I haven't checked NASCAR Twitter since the race. Have they started paying for Chase Elliott tweets yet? I don't know.
No, there's no promoted tweets yet.
All right.
But I'm sure I'm sure they're drafted.
Sure, it's
just
coming.
In case.
Let's talk about. So speaking of Chase was out this weekend. Corey LaJoie, very highly anticipated replacement driver for Chase Elliott this weekend. And up until he had brake issues, Carson Hocevar was beating Corey LaJoie in his own equipment.
Out-qualified him.
Yeah.
Was running 16th. Yeah, and then we had a lot of brake failure in this race.
Yeah, we did.
A lot of big hits.
Yes,
we'll
did.
Probably get into a couple of the, but yeah, man, that was so cool. I mean,
I joked beforehand that how funny would it be if Carson Hocevar went out and won the race?
Well, I cursed him. I cursed the poor kid because I messaged you right before he wrecked.
Yep.
And I said, I mean, I guess we might as well get into it. I said if Carson Hocevar finishes this off and beats Corey LaJoie that bad, I'm done. I don't want to hear about Corey LaJoie anymore.
Yep.
And he was doing it. He was freaking doing it, man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
What a cool thing to see, a guy getting his chance and was really racing with those guys. It was impressive.
Talk about a kid who has increased his stock in the last 2 months. Man. He went from who's this bozo wrecking people in the truck series every week to he's like on the short list somewhere for a cup ride. It's been pretty amazing to see that.
Yeah. And too, Eric, I heard this one. I think this was on Jeff Gluck's pod, but a good point to be made. They were talking about people judge the talent of the truck series a little bit too directly and too harshly. And we've seen Carson and Hagan even come up to the Xfinity series and kind of show us some flashes. And this was definitely a flash.
Yeah.
Even Dale Jr. messaged out that, Carson definitely turned some heads this week and made his name known.
Yeah.
There's no way he's running a truck series full time next year. That's for sure. He'll be in somebody's Xfinity car, or I mean, gosh, maybe even a cup ride here in a year or two.
Yeah.
That's no doubt. A handful of drivers retire or something, and he's going to be on that short list, I think, here pretty soon.
Yeah, he's going to have an Xfinity ride next year, I think, and certainly going to have some cup starts next year too.
That's the thing too, Eric. This was a short turnaround all the way around.
Yeah.
They raced late on a Monday, and Chase got suspended right away. When we recorded the pod Tuesday, we had already known he was suspended, but I mean that's still a short week for these teams, especially when you've got cars getting shipped out, and on the move. And, anybody who wants to make an excuse for Corey, you really can't, because Carson had the same situation and was doing something pretty special with it. So,
well, let's talk about that. So we go from Carson Hocevar, who he did finish dead last, but certainly over impressed.
Yep.
But
I would venture to say he had the better day, even though he wrecked out.
Yeah, definitely. And
the rare better day when you finish last place.
Right. But on the other end of the spectrum, Corey LaJoie comes home in 21st position, filling in for Chase Elliott. Now, that being said, Hendrick cars struggled in this race. However, let's see. Kyle Larson ended up finishing 4th. William Byron finished 8th. And
Bowman was there. Something broke on the last restart.
Okay, so for 26
but he was in the top
Bowman,
5.
So
he was in the top 5.
So he did finish behind Corey, but yeah, fell at the end. So Corey LaJoie, I looked real quick here, James. If we look back at Corey LaJoie's history in the Cup Series, last year his average finish was 24.3. The year before that, 24.9. Year before that, 25.6. Currently, including this race, his average finish this year is 19.3. Certainly has improved this season, but that number is pretty damn close to 21st. So he didn't perform better in a Hendrick car than he did in his own car.
Yeah, he was disappointed.
Yeah.
Understandably so. I think I don't think he feels. Maybe he does. I don't want to speak for him, but he's got to feel somewhat that he lost, like he blew his opportunity. But I don't know if this is his final opportunity.
I don't think it is either. But where Carson was kind of here with no pressure and certainly not auditioning for anything. Obviously, if he has a good day, that's going to look good. But he's not trying to get a Cup ride right now. He's just trying to extend his career. Whereas Corey LaJoie, yes, is very much auditioning to show everybody else what he can do in quality equipment. From that standpoint, just, man, what a kick below the belt for old Corey LaJoie this weekend. And I think it hurts stock. I think it does. Like you said, I still think he's got an opportunity coming.
He'll get another opportunity. Yeah, somebody will bring him up again.
You can't completely base it off of one race either.
No,
but
and that's fair, because Josh Berry did struggle a little bit. Early on. But the one thing that Josh Berry has been able to do, and is why he's circled, we'll talk about in a little bit. Josh Berry gets better throughout the race.
Yeah.
Continuously gets better throughout the race. And that team, that 9 car, never got better all day.
Right.
I mean, the only reason they ended up in 21st is because other guys started wrecking around them and having problems. Tyler Reddick was having a good run, and
the
he
other
wrecked
strike
out.
against Corey is that so when Josh Berry got in Chase's car, he didn't have any experience in this car.
Exactly.
Carson Hocevar's never raced one of these cars. Corey LaJoie's got a year and a half's worth of experience.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't want to slam Corey because I still like him. I still want to see him get a big opportunity. But man, this was disappointing, and not to say it wasn't as disappointing as back in the day when Jimmy Means got his shot for Tim Richmond as well. So kind of how it falls, I guess.
Yeah, and with Corey, on the positive side of things for Corey, maybe they didn't have it all day. They couldn't nail down the setup, and the car, just wasn't to his liking. He did run a professional race.
Yeah.
He kept it clean.
Stupid.
Didn't get in any trouble. Didn't wreck the car. Didn't cause any cautions. Like a pro. And some of the guys he beat, Ross Chastain wasn't any better. Didn't score any points compared to Corey LaJoie. So
meanwhile, Ross Chastain did wreck somebody. So.
He did. I guess we can talk about that next. But I agree with you though, Eric. Corey will get another shot somewhere. He's been doing this long enough. But yeah, I was disappointed, and I was hoping for something different. Obviously, I picked him in our points picks, which I did. I guess I didn't do as bad as I thought, but still, not great.
Well, and that other shot could have come a couple positions behind him in that 21 car. We'll talk more later in the podcast. We're going to talk some silly season stuff, so we will see what the future holds for Corey LaJoie and whether it'll be back in Spire next season.
Yep.
We mentioned brake issues. Obviously, Corey LaJoie was the first sideline with brake issues, I believe. But we had several drivers blow out front brake rotors. I would say probably the worst was old Noah Gragson, who decided to turn left instead of right, unlike everybody else.
Oh man!
And he hit a ton and broke the wall. We had to fix the wall.
Yeah. I don't know if he had not another option, Eric. He was coming in low on that corner.
Yeah, but that sucker blew out like back by the finish line. I mean, there was time.
Yeah, and normally a driver will put it up next to the wall.
Yeah.
He did the Bubba Wallace.
Yep.
And I don't know. I was going to ask you this, Eric. So many brake problems. Do we have something kind of brewing here? Kind of a problem brewing here?
I don't think so. I think, they talked about it. This track, for one, is the worst thing for these brakes is hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. And when you've got tight turns and long straightaways, that's what you get. I mean, you're going to have some issues, but not everybody had issues. Obviously, there were a lot. But certainly, the better your setup is, you didn't see cars that were running up front have the issues, I think everybody else was mid-pack and on back. So, Reddick ran up front.
Other than Tyler,
he was up front during the day, but both the 2311 cars had issues. Nice to know Bubba learned his lesson at Pocono.
Bubba was, and the thing with Bubba was he was having another good day. He was in the top 10, hovering around the top 10, so it wasn't like he had a bad day.
Yeah.
But still, that was rough.
I don't know. I have a tough time with this track because I really like I think the fans have come out in droves to support this place and really encourage NASCAR to keep returning here. But I don't, when you can't, we've lost power at Gateway now 2 to 3 times with NASCAR. Yeah. There's been other issues too. The facilities, there's questions as to, whether they have what you need to host a cup race. I don't know, man. It just, I don't want to take it away from the place because I think the fans deserve it, and I think they've done the work to be there, but I don't know. I think it was an okay race. I don't think it lit any fires.
It's not the worst track on the circuit.
It's certainly not.
It's racing's fairly decent. I just worry that we're going to have the same issues when we go to New Hampshire, and another track I was thinking about was Pocono.
Yeah. Pocono concerns me more than New Hampshire, but I don't know. We've had brake rotor problems forever. It's a bigger deal on this car because it's bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some weeks are going to hit different than others, I think, too.
What do we have, 4, 5 in this race?
I think we have 4, yeah.
4 issue. I don't know. That's a pretty big percentage.
It's a high percent. It is a high percentage, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I need more
Noah
info.
Had.
Yeah. I need more info.
When you have an accident like Noah had, the Noah thing elevates it a little bit more too because he hit a ton. Leading to it, he hit so hard he broke the freaking wall down.
But that's the track. You have a track that's designed with sharp turns after long straightaways. That's a dangerous. That's the same. That's the reason they reconfigured Homestead, because you had square corners at the end of long straightaways and people were getting hurt.
Yeah. That's a fair point. Yep.
So it's a track design issue. It's not an equipment issue.
Eric, we talked about the other 2 tracks that kind of worry me. New Hampshire, New Hampshire claimed the life of 2 drivers in the same year with similar types of situations. Then Pocono, how many times have we seen massive hits into the straightaways coming off this, the front straightaway at Pocono? Gosh, Jeff Gordon, Dave Marcus, you remember that one? That one was really bad. Bubba had a massive hit there. So I mentioned that earlier. So it's it's something to always keep an eye on.
If you search YouTube for crazy accidents, Pocono's list is longer than Talladaga's.
Dale Earnhart's a famous one where he's crawling out of the car with I think a busted leg. So
there's the Steve Park. There's a Steve Park incident. There's
Davey Allison flying through there.
Davey Allison, Elliott Sadler, Jimmy Johnson had a bad
Elliott
wreck.
Sadler has the greatest wreck nobody's ever seen.
Right.
when the engine went just flying.
Lake Speed went through the wall in turn 1. I mean, there's been some major wrecks there.
Yeah.
That place, you talk about a track that's been dangerous. That track is, I mean, shoot, even IndyCar has had a fatality there. They've had a car in the catch fence. I mean, that place is scary. But
I mean, that's what we're dealing with, man. Race cars are dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. It's a dangerous sport.
That's right.
Speaking of that, it's even dangerous just running around on pit road, not even with cars. I mean, we Fox hyped up how tight this pit road was all along, and then a pit crew member gets hurt, and we're like, yeah, one of the drivers hit him. Nope, didn't get hit at all by a car. He just ran into another pit crew member, fell down, and got hurt. Erik Jones's pit crew member was injured and taken away in the ambulance. Scary situation anytime something happens on pit road. Thomas Hatcher is his name, right? Front tire changer.
Yep.
And he has been released from the hospital. He was released Sunday night, so good news there. But yeah, just crazy. I mean, again, this race, man, it's just weird.
Yep, I know. Yeah, this was and sometimes the strange bug hits, and it's just, there's no real explanation. I'm just glad. It sounds like everything's okay. Yeah. But good grief, just unbelievable.
I mean, the one positive for me was that I watched the entire Detroit IndyCar race during the lightning delay. So worked out perfectly for me. Both races were on at the same time. I'm like, man, which one am I going to watch? It's like, well, I probably should watch NASCAR.
Yeah.
And I got to watch IndyCar first.
Well, IndyCar, much like F1, is just a celebration of speed, and they have their little parade for however many laps, and they throw a checkered flag.
I don't know, man. That wasn't a bad race. Anyway, we'll talk about IndyCar shortly. Anything else with this one worth mentioning? You mentioned Ryan Blaney, good backup week for him. Comes out home 6th after struggling a little bit at the last couple of restarts, but man, he was right there. So good to see
your
that.
new points leader, by the way.
Yes, new points leader.
We didn't talk enough about our favorite subject who finally came back after a 3-week hiatus.
Yeah.
Ross Chastain dive bombing into the turn 1.
Yeah.
Bouncing off the rumble strips.
It was his fault, but it wasn't all his fault. If that wasn't Ross Chastain, you would just say it's a racing incident.
Yeah.
It's who it is. But no, I mean, he still hit somebody. And credit Michael McDowell backs it into the wall and comes back to finish 9th.
Michael McDowell's good there for some reason. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's the second good showing in a row he's had there.
That's so weird.
Can't explain that one. Yeah, Ross, just because it's Ross, it is what it is. It's a celebration of Ross.
Yeah.
I have to wonder, though, Eric, before we turn the page. So Ross and Justin Marks, they come out a few weeks ago, and they say things have to change. Got to quit bouncing off people. And since then, Ross has gone from our points leader. He is now 5th in the standings. He has 0 wins. Now, that being said, Trackhouse won at Sonoma a year ago, so maybe they go into Sonoma and it's all for naught. What do you think? You seeing any problems there? Are they lacking speed? What is your opinion on that one?
I think Justin Marks' media tour was a dog and pony show. I don't think that discussion happened in the shop at all. I think that discussion happened on TV.
Taking a page out of the Denny Hamlin playbook, eh?
I think so. I don't think that. Mm-hmm. I think Justin Marks said that to the media and then turned around and told Ross Chastain, "Don't change, dude. Keep doing what you're doing."
Yeah. Well, he definitely didn't change diving it into turn 1 on Sunday.
Right. I mean, that's what started.
I saw a lot of Ross.
It started the whole thing for him a year ago this weekend. I mean, that's what really started the Ross Chastain train. Was his contact with Denny at Gateway. So,
did you see he said how embarrassed he was watching the race?
No,
from a year ago. Yeah, he said he was doing prep. He was doing prep and watching rewatching some of the race for this week, and he said he was super embarrassed. About what was going on. And I was like, well, yeah. I mean, it was kind of I enjoyed it. I mean, I know I came on the podcast and was talking about how much I really enjoyed the race inside the race.
James, I know you are a Ross Chastain critic, but let's do this. Let's take that race and look at the style of racing and what Ross Chastain was doing back then and compare it to how he's racing now. And even some of the run-ins he's had this season, later towards this point in the season. I mean, he has improved and matured as a driver. He's not he drove like a bonehead then. Now it's an aggression thing more so than just a I'm an idiot thing. Don't you think? I mean, I feel like he's got more control of himself now than he did before. Dude's still got room to grow. And, I think the problem with Ross is that he's still driving like a rookie and he's a veteran because he's got a lot of starts, but they were starts in inferior equipment. So I don't know.
And I'm sure you would be. So like you would be able to do a comp in hockey, maybe. I'll use basketball as my comp. You get these young players in that are really super talented, and they can jump out of the gym and they can do all these cool things. They just don't know how to win, and they don't know all of the X's and O's of the game. And I think that's Ross Chastain. I think what you got here is a guy who's a high flyer who just doesn't know yet how to put it all together.
Do you think he's got the skill to do it? I know you've expressed your opinions on him. Do you think he's got the skill to be a winner?
I struggle with it. I think he had one of the fastest race cars in the series last year and didn't win enough. Now that
he made the Final Four, dude.
I know. That's the hard part for me because I think he made the Final Four in spite of himself.
Yeah.
But he did finish second in the championship standing. So you have to.
I think he's got the skill.
You have to be.
I think based on what we've seen him do up to his Cup career, up to his Trackhouse career, I think based on what we've seen him do, that he's got the skill. Is he Kyle Larson? No. Is he Kyle Busch? Yeah. No. Is he Ryan Blaney? Sure. He has the potential to be a Ryan Blaney-esque type driver.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Is he?
I just think
is he championship ready yet? No, I don't think he's championship ready. But he is somebody that I would be surprised if he continues to get the opportunity and continues to grow as I feel like he has over the last 2 seasons. I would be surprised to see him not win a championship. I think it's one, and that's it. But I would not be surprised to see him win a championship.
See, now I'd be surprised if he did win.
He's a Martin Truex Jr. type of driver to me.
But he's got to stick around that long.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But I think too, when I think of his run last year towards the championship, I think he's more Ryan Newman 2014.
Yeah, I can see that.
Is like that. Like nobody remembers Ryan Newman was second in the points and was one position away from being a champion. But that just seems like it's more similar to that than it was anything else.
That's probably a good comparison because I think Ryan Newman was a really good driver too, but just not to the level of your regular champions.
He's fast. He's fast as hell, man.
Yeah,
he was fast all the time.
I like that comparison better than my comparison. That's a good one.
Ross can be really, really fast. And I think Ryan Blaney, he's got. It seems like he has confidence this week, and he showed up.
Yeah, I think
at Gateway.
Blaney's got Dale Earnhardt Jr. syndrome.
Yeah, he swaggered into.
He lacks confidence.
Oh, he brought the podcast back, and man, Blaney. Blaney. I know people were like, he's Casey Kane. Blaney seems like he might be better than that now. I don't know. I have a time with Blaney. I don't know where to stick him right now. The comp. I know people were comparing him to Harvick. That's another one that started up this week. We're always trying to compare guys to different eras and different places. Blaney's got me unsure yet. I still think Blaney's going to win.
Ryan Blaney is Dale Jr. without the 7-time championship father.
Possibly, and if you told, we fast forward ahead and we look at Ryan Blaney's career and he's got 28 wins and a couple of Daytona 500s, I'd say, yeah, that seems about right. Yep.
I mean, I really feel like there are a lot of similarities between Ryan Blaney and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Other than the popular driver aspect. I mean, Blaney's popular too, don't get me wrong, but not to the Dale Jr. level. He's not at Chase Elliott level.
No, not at all. But he's definitely got a lot of support, and when he's running good, I mean, gosh, we've seen him. I mean, we won 2 in a row. I mean, 2001, he went out there and stole two in a row right off the bat.
Yep.
After he started winning again, and he carried that momentum for a long time.
If Junior wouldn't have had the confidence issues and wouldn't have had the issues at DEI, I think Junior would have won a championship in the Cup Series. Probably no more than one, but he would have won a championship. And I think Blaney's in the same situation.
Yeah, and his issue too was the organization deteriorated around him.
Yeah, but I mean, then
understandably so.
Then he got the Hendrick chance and lost confidence during it, and then he had his health issues as well. But yeah, I think that Blaney has a championship in him. It's just a matter of whether it's going to work out right or not, whether the confidence is going to be right at the right time.
Yeah,
so.
Blaney's. I look at William Byron as more of a Byron seems like the Larson type to me. Like he's got like whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
And there's a handful of guys who have that. I don't think Blaney has that in him, but he's definitely stable. Like very, very sturdy, very, very stable. He has the ability to top 10 you to death when he gets it right.
I don't know.
Some of these guys like Byron and Larson, they will come out and they throw haymakers, and when they land, they are absolutely unbeatable.
Yeah, Byron.
But then they can also kill them. They can also kill themselves.
Byron's won 3 races this year, but he I'm sorry, I can't. He's been in the sport and been in a good car long enough. I can't put him in the Kyle Larson category. There's just no way.
No, but yeah, and that's the thing. Like I think he's the younger
Kyle Larson is in the Jimmy Johnson category.
That's fine.
He is.
That's fine. Yeah, and like I'm just talking about guys like their talent level. Like they are. You're right that Larson's like next level. Like he's Kyle Busch and he's in that group. But you would say like William Byron. It wouldn't surprise you if he got there.
No, it wouldn't surprise me if he got there. But he hasn't shown me enough now yet to say that he's going to get there. That's where I'm at. See, with Kyle Larson,
he's at the early stages of that.
We saw things with Kyle Larson when he was in that 42 car, and we saw things with him outside of NASCAR that we were like, this kid, if he gets the right chance, is going to light the world on fire. That's different than where Byron is, where it's like, yeah, if he clicks, he can do really well, but I'm not confident he's going to ever click like that, though. That's my issue with him.
See,
I was confident Larson was going to. Yeah, no.
I think you and I differ on that.
I agree.
But I think Byron and Reddick are the same. Like they are.
Yeah.
Like they either both of them are going to figure it out and they're going to like duke it out for the next 10 years, or one of them's going to disappoint us.
The fuse is lit on both of them. It just depends on whether it burns out before.
Exactly
it hits the
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I think of those guys. They're like Larson's like at that next level. Those guys are like the younger version of what that next level could be. Like they are right. They are on the cusp of that level, on that level.
Like I said, I'm not saying they won't get there. I'm not convinced that they're definitely going to get there. I think you and I are different in that one. I think Byron will eventually. People be there. And that being said, who started this conversation was Ross Chastain.
That's right.
I don't think Ross Chastain will get there.
I wouldn't be doing my job if I naturally, without even thinking about it, took a Ross Chastain conversation and brought it back to William Byron.
Right.
Like,
I know.
That's exactly how I live my life right there. And with that.
Yeah. Anything else with the Cup race before we talk about the other two real quick?
We better get the heck out of this race,
right?
Because we're going to be going forever.
63 victories in the Cup Series for Kyle Busch, by the way. 657 Cup Series starts. Ty Gibbs was our highest finishing rookie in 20th, and Ryan Blaney has a 13-point lead over William Byron for the championship currently.
Eric, you know who Kyle Busch is chasing down on the wins list now?
Who's that?
His former Richard Childress driver.
Yeah.
He's getting within earshot of Big E.
Yeah. And
he's got a ways to go yet.
He's going to get cheered for it when it happens. If it happens.
God. Well, Jeff Gordon did not get cheered for it, if I remember correctly.
No, but that's because the Earnhardt fans hated Gordon.
Yeah, well, Jeff did it right, though. Jeff carried the flag around.
Yeah.
So, Jeff tried.
See, the Jeff... there's nothing that I enjoy more than the Jeff Gordon-Dale Earnhardt rivalry because the two were friends. It's so funny the fans hated each other so much because the two loved it.
Yep. They were business partners. They got it. They figured it all out.
Yep, exactly. NASCAR Xfinity Series was on the other side of the country, up in Portland, where it didn't rain this year.
It's a great race.
Yeah, pretty good race. Lots of battling up front. Cole Custer, finally a winner again in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
I was worried about him. He figured it out.
Yeah, he came through the field.
He almost lost it.
Yep, came through the field there. The race was pretty much dominated by Justin Allgaier and
Sheldon Creed.
Oh, Sheldon. Oh, Sheldon Creed.
Sheldon gets himself into a little run-in with John Hunter and costs both of them. And Sheldon finishes 7th. John Hunter finishes 10th. I like the fact that they both kind of gave each other a high five at the end of the race and said, okay, we're even. We're good. That was cool. And then maybe the news of the weekend is the interpretation of the Jeb Burton fight, depending on whether you're Jeb Burton or everybody else.
Yeah. He was the tough guy, if you ask him.
Yeah. He had a hell of a fight and had a big win until the video surfaced.
Yeah.
So,
I don't even know if I have anything to add to that.
Chandler Smith playing it up on social was just good. It was good stuff.
Chandler Smith, I didn't see him being that guy, but he's got a little. He gets a little lippy,
yes,
which
he does.
I like it.
Yep,
I like it.
Let's keep building these personalities in the Xfinity series and bring them to Cup, man.
Yeah, Chandler Smith's one of those guys. I've liked that kid for a long time now. It seems like when he was driving for KBM and Kyle got him in that truck, I was like, look out. And he's kind of fizzled, but he's had like moments. But much like Carson Hocevar, he has a little bit of a personality that I think will suit him well when he does get his shot, because he will get one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I will be excited when Chandler Smith gets his Cup Series ride, because he'll have one.
Yep. I mean, these Noah Gragson types now. Like Noah's like setting the map for some of these younger guys coming through.
Yep.
If you act like a certain way.
Hey man, Xfinity Series names are made here. They're doing it.
That's right. Oh yeah, 100%.
And I was one that was very much against not allowing the Cup drivers to compete in this series full time, and I will concede that NASCAR made the right choice.
Yeah, there's been a lot of fun stuff in the Xfinity Series over the past few years.
We've built drivers because of the fact that there's not Cup drivers in the field every weekend.
Yep.
These guys, some of these guys have gotten their shot because they've actually been able to show what they can do. And even the guys that aren't winning every weekend, have had a chance to be featured in this series when they normally wouldn't be. There's guys in this field that would not be here if it wasn't for the fact that Cup drivers aren't.
Yep, I will tell you who is the best example of that right now. Mr. Josh Berry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Josh Berry doesn't get a shot without.
No, there's an era of the Xfinity Series where he doesn't even sniff the field.
Yep. 100%.
And now he's going to be a Cup driver here very soon. So.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
I don't think there's anything else really to talk about here. Portland did a good job of hosting. I think the race, like you said, the race was a good race. I think Portland's a good track. I don't see Cup ever running there. But I know that there's desire to get up into that area of the country, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them to sniff out there down the road. Chandler Smith, highest finishing rookie in this one, 9th place. Cole Custer, it's his 11th victory in 123 NASCAR Xfinity Series starts. And John Hunter Nemechek is your points leader, 14 points over Austin Hill, who was kind of quiet in this one, but he was up there, and that kid continues to be good every week. So.
Yep. And shout out to Matt Snyder.
Yeah.
Another top 10, his second start of the year. He's got an average finish of 5.5.
How about Connor Mosack, who gets a top 10 finish, finishes 8th? Yep.
That's another one.
Alex LeBay finishes 11th. Good one there. Brett Moffitt in a not as well-funded car finishes 12th. I mean, both those guys beat Brandon Jones, who finished 13th, in one of the best cars in the series.
And the end of stage 2 was super exciting in this race.
Yeah.
Like, that was so good. That race that drag race to the start finish line between Custer and Allgaier after the Sheldon Creed, whatever the heck happened with John Hunter. That was so good. That was the best stage finish of the whole year, I think, so far. That was awesome.
Well, and if you haven't looked up the finish of the ARCA race out there too, that one's worth a look too. I mean, this track lends itself well to the bump and run and some contact, and it's a good NASCAR road course.
Yeah, it's got that Canadian Tire type of feel to it, where the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park will have that. You can really lay into guys towards the end of the circuit.
Yeah, the end of the lap's
really
exciting, and that first turn is something, man. And I think NASCAR did a good job this year of policing the first turn to where it wasn't an advantage to skip it like it was last year. So Good job on the weekend.
Yeah, really good.
Truck Series was also in action. They had the Toyota 200 at Gateway as well. And Grant Enfinger gets himself a win here. 65 laps led on this one. Between him and Ty Majeski, they led the majority of the race. Zane Smith also had a strong run here as well. Ty Majeski was involved in an accident. This was your typical Truck Series race, as you would expect. Plenty of carnage. What do we have? 11 cautions.
Haley Deegan took a big hit.
That girl, man,
She didn't even do anything wrong. I will stick up for her this time.
Well, I'm saying I have a rule of thumb, like as a manager, you get those people that just stuff happens to all the time. They're always having bad luck, and it gets to a point where you're like, man, they can't just have that bad of luck. Like it has to be something.
You make your own luck, yeah, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But man, she just cannot catch a freaking break.
Yep.
I mean, Charlotte, she wrecked missing somebody like there was nowhere she could have gone. She gets completely taken out in this one. How many of her wrecks this season have been just not of her doing?
Yeah, this one was really not. She had nothing to do with this one.
Absolutely nothing. So it sucks, man. I want to see her succeed and at least do it on her own, and
maybe it's in the Xfinity series, Maybe
but she's got to get enough to get her there, and I don't know that she's got it yet. I don't think she's got the support to get her there financially. She should. She's got a good personality, but I don't know. I just don't think it's there yet.
Yep. She's getting reps at the got to see a little bit more. But again, like when you have a race like this where you just can get completely wiped out, how much can you take away from it?
Yeah,
it's just sucks.
One I want to shout out, Jesse Love. I believe it was his first Truck Series start, filling in for Corey Heim, who was sick. Finishes 9th. He ran up front all day. Did not lead any laps. Did not finish top 10 in either of the stages, first two stages, but certainly had a good performance for a race that he wasn't expecting to run until a couple days beforehand. So
ran all the laps, top 10 finish. That's what you want.
Good on him. And then
18-year-old.
Tony Breitinger got a start as well as a result of that whole shuffle in the one truck. So she got her second Truck Series start, finished 24th and beat Haley. So, I mean, Haley got wrecked, but she beat her. So,
and if anybody doesn't know who Jesse Love is, ARCA Menard Series points leader.
Yeah, he's killing it in the ARCA Series, man.
Yeah, he's got 4 top 10s and he's got 3 wins. He's crushing right now.
You're gonna know who he is if you're a NASCAR fan. You're gonna know who he is next year because he's gonna be in that Truck Series. I guarantee.
Well, and he's led basically half of the laps of the entire series so far.
Yeah,
this season in the ARCA Series.
Yeah, well, how ARCA is. There's like one guy who dominates the whole thing, or 2 guys that dominate the whole thing. So. You
don't mean Malcolm's not dominating?
Right. No, he's not. No. He's not doing it.
I mean, he was the points leader.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard about that a whole bunch.
For one race, right? Wasn't it? 2 races?
I think, a couple races.
Anyway. Well, there you go. There's your NASCAR weekend at Gateway. We can leave Gateway in the dust for another year. We'll see if we're returning next year. We don't know yet. But I hope
so. I hope so. I don't mind it.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I know your Truck Series is going to go back, but I wouldn't be surprised to see cut back. I think, like I said, I think there's improvements that can be made at the track, but I think that the fans have come out and shown. I mean, this is 3rd sellout in a week, James, for NASCAR.
Yeah, they're doing well.
Pretty good. So.
Yep.
Not much in the news because we're early this week. We're recording on Monday. The old Garage 56 car made its appearance out at Le Mans. Sucker's fast, man. It's a fast car.
Holy smokes.
Sounds good too.
It's up there in the speed charts.
Yeah,
I was surprised by that.
So, I mean, I think I saw somewhere 1,000 horsepower in that thing. Man, can we get some of that and put it in the Cup cars?
Holy smokes. Jimmy Johnson, the smile on Jimmy Johnson's face right now, he is giddy.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Good deal. I don't even know. When is that? Is that race this weekend? When is that thing?
It's this weekend. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
24 hours of Le Mans.
There you go. Cool. I knew that much. I just didn't know for sure when it was. I assumed it was this weekend because they're there, but you never know.
This is probably Jimmy Johnson's last race ever in a Hendrick car because he is. That's
a good point.
He's going to Toyotas here next year too.
Yep.
So.
As soon as that JGR Garage 56 car starts, then he'll be back. Anyway, Jordan Bianchi from The Athletic, big fan of Jordan's. He released or put out an article this week, or at least recently, talking about some of the free agency, getting started on the whole silly season thing. And I wanted to have some discussion from it because he's got some interesting points in here. So we'll run down a couple of things, first of all, that are kind of givens in this whole situation before we start talking about the possibilities. We'll talk about this a lot over the rest of the season because I don't know about you, James, but I love the silly season stuff.
Oh, me too.
It's my favorite part of the year. I love that it starts earlier and earlier. So some of the drivers that are up to re-sign, Denny Hamlin, FedEx is really close. Majeski just reported FedEx is close to signing an extension with JGR. That extension is likely to include Denny Hamlin. Hamlin has stated before that he wants to finish his career with FedEx. As long as the FedEx sponsorship stays around, I think Denny stays at JGR. I don't think we see him go anywhere else.
There's some key verbiage missing from that whole announcement so far.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do a full season.
Yeah, it's possible.
I think they're going to cut it back. It just sounds like that's what if they were going to sign up for a full season, they would have been like, yeah, we're fully out. That's what you would have been reading. There's some stuff missing from this announcement so far.
Yeah, it's
but
tough to find somebody
early
to sign for a whole year at this point.
Oh yeah, FedEx is one of the only ones. It's what FedEx and Shell and Bass Pro Shops probably is not not even Bass Pro Shops. They don't. I mean, they sponsor multiple cars, but they're not.
Tough because some of these sponsors actually sign for the whole year, but then sell their sponsorship.
Yeah.
So just because there's a different name on the car doesn't mean they're not a full season sponsor.
Yeah, FedEx doesn't technically sponsor every race right now, but they're pretty much full year.
Yeah, they're the season sponsor. They just sell their space to others.
Yep.
The other Joe Gibbs Racing piece of the puzzle, Martin Truex Jr. Jordan expects him to re-sign for another year at JGR. I don't anticipate Truex going anywhere. I mean, there's certainly opportunities out there, but with Truex's age, he's JGR done. I don't think you're going to see him go anywhere else at this point.
No.
And I would be surprised also if he doesn't continue at JGR. So let's talk about some of the seats that are open. Obviously, we've got Kevin Harvick's seat that we know will be open at the end of the season. Very, very likely that Josh Berry is our driver for that car. It's one of those things being talked about in the garage, like it's a done deal, even though it hasn't been announced. So that one's coming. That'll be one of those non-surprise announcements that we get every year. So the other one that's interesting is Aric Almirola, because I thought that when he signed on with Smithfield and Smithfield came back that this was a 2-year deal, but it sounds like it was a 1-year deal. And Aric is very non-committal about the rest of the season or the following season. So very likely that they're going to have to replace Aric Almirola in that car as well. So then the question becomes, who goes into that seat? Bianchi has a list of drivers named that have been possible replacements for that seat. They include Harrison Burton, Todd Gilliland, Riley Herbst, Erik Jones, Corey LaJoie, Ty Majeski, Michael McDowell, Chandler Smith, Sammy Smith, Zane Smith, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
The Smith triplets, eh?
Yeah, pretty much everybody that possibly is available. Several of those drivers have commitments. Todd Gilliland is committed, I believe, or up to re-sign. I don't remember which. Erik Jones has another year on his contract with Legacy. Zane Smith is currently with Front Row Motorsports. Stenhouse, I think, is up at the end of this year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Michael McDowell is up at the end of this year, I believe, as well. But yeah, so some interesting talk there. Zane Smith is kind of the likely top of the list for that seat. Zane is not staying where he's at. Zane is getting a cup ride. At this point, it's been too long for him, and he's ready to make that leap. So the question becomes, if he does that, his contract would have to be bought out at Front Row Motorsports, and the talk is if that doesn't come to fruition, then he would move up to the Front Row Motorsports seat, and Michael McDowell would be the backup plan for that 10 car. What do you think of that, James? I think Michael McDowell and Aric Almirola, I think that's probably an upgrade, if not an equal, right? Don't you think?
It seems like a push, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that 10 car has never been the ride,
Yeah, it had a moment when he finished 5th in points.
Yeah.
It did have one season.
Yeah.
where it was something. But other than that, it hasn't been anything too special.
This is the Danica leftover, so
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so I mean, if you're Stuart Haas, I mean, Zane the guy, right? I mean,
I don't know, man. Yeah. Man, if that roster is Zane Smith, Josh Berry, Briscoe, and Preece, that is a disappointing lineup of 4 drivers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like talented drivers, yes, but there's no anchor to that team. Like they need somebody else in there. This is what's been bothering me about Stuart Haas this whole time. With Harvick leaving, they just don't have anybody. Like that car is outperforming the rest of the stable so far and away outperforming the rest of the team. Because Rodney Childress ain't coming back to crew chief that car either.
right.
So they're going to be, that team's going to be in trouble. Like that whole organization's in trouble. I would like them to go find somebody. They got to go out and find a champion somehow.
What about? I mean, let's go back to Erik Jones.
One.
We've had this conversation here.
Uh-huh.
Eric seems pretty committed to Legacy.
Yeah.
Seemed pretty committed before it was Legacy.
Yeah.
Now Legacy's going to Toyota, which Erik Jones has a long history with.
Yep.
That being said, this team has underperformed after an overperforming year last year.
Yes.
And my understanding of Erik Jones's commitment over there is kind of along the lines of if Erik Jones wants to come back, he can, but if he doesn't have to.
Yes.
So does Eric take the leap and go to Ford and go run a Stuart Haas car?
If I'm Stuart Haas and I'm Ford and I'm looking at who's out there, and if I'm not getting Truex or Hamlin or those guys.
Right.
Like the next best guy is Erik Jones.
Yeah.
Like he is young enough that he gives you a future, and he's good. He wins races. I would peg him for the 4 and put Josh Berry in the 10. That would be my ideal situation with where they're at right now.
Yeah.
Erik
Jones runs the 4 car in late models.
That's right. It'd be coming home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Erik Jones's talent. I still, I think we know Josh Berry's locked in over there with either the 4 or the 10. It doesn't matter. But I don't like the rest of the options. And I pray, like, if they call up Riley Herbst, let's put it this way, James.
You put Cole Custer back in that car before you put Riley Herbst in it, right?
That's right. Uh-huh. Yeah, I would.
I mean, I would too.
But look at the other
Cole's at least a Cup Series winner,
Stuart Haas has failed so terribly bad at building their pipeline.
They have.
I mean, I love Chase Briscoe as a talent. He's really raw still. He's really young.
Yeah, what does he need? What do we need for Chase Briscoe Chase Briscoe's a good driver. So what do we need?
Well, the team doesn't perform. Like the whole team doesn't perform very well.
Yeah, so let's put it this way. I mean, Harvick is a champion. Harvick is a very good driver. I mean, he's one of the top of who's racing right now. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been any good, so maybe it's not the driver.
Well, I will push back on that. Kevin Harvick is, I think, second in points right now.
Yeah, but Kevin is doing it the way Kevin does it. He's not. He's finishing well because it's Kevin. He's not wrecking.
Well, yeah.
But that doesn't mean the team's good. That means that Kevin's holding it down when the team is crappy.
Yeah, and the problem with that whole organization is it's a 3-1 organization.
Yeah.
You got three teams over here.
Yeah.
In La La Land, and you got one team that actually does what it's supposed to.
Right.
And contends for wins and performs. That being said, like I like Chase Briscoe's talent. I like Ryan Preece a little bit. That's it. That's really. I mean, I like when Chase Briscoe has a fast race car. He's fun. He just doesn't have fast race cars either right now.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to do to fix that for him.
Yeah, but the best driver performs well in whether the car is good or not, and that's Kevin
the
Harvick.
thing. Well, that's the problem. Like Carson Hocevar comes in, And I don't want to, and it's not fair after one race to get, but you know what I mean? Like Carson Hocevar comes in, you're like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't had, like Chase Briscoe's had a handful of those moments, but it's like, okay, where's the consistency with you? And now, obviously, I don't think we talked about this on the pod last week, but we might as well. NASCAR drops the freaking hammer on him.
Yeah.
For the confiscated part.
Yeah, that's a good point. We didn't discuss that.
And that team's just devastated for the rest of the year, no matter what they do.
Yeah.
25 playoff points are gone. They're buried below 30th in points now.
Yeah.
Because of that confiscated part. So, I mean, their season's pretty much done.
The only way they get a chance at a championship is to win, not just to qualify, but then you got to win through the playoffs too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how they have a big hole that they have. But that team, I will say, like last year during the playoffs, they were the biggest overachievers. So it's there, but it's not consistent. That's what worries me with that. But I mean, you look at other stables of 4 drivers. And if that's what you're bringing to the table each week, you're
the weakest 4-car lineup that we've got.
Yeah, and it's the weakest 4-car lineup I could ever remember too. It is not good. I mean, it is not good.
You take Harvick out of there, it's a weaker lineup than Legacy, and I mean, Legacy's struggling.
And
Legacy's got a 7-time champion.
Exactly, and if you're Anheuser-Busch, and you look at that stable and you're like, well,
yeah,
what is that doing for me? Even Josh Berry.
Well, that's why they're going to Chastain next year.
Well, what is that doing for you too? I guess.
Right.
Social media, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Corey LaJoie, also free agent. Kind of disappointed in Chase Elliott's car this weekend. It really seemed like that was an audition for him. It didn't go well. However, Corey's pretty clear with where he's at, that he's pretty happy at Spire, but also I think Spire and everybody is aware. I mean, I would assume Spire is his management group too, so they know he wants to go and race for a bigger team. Mm-hmm. If the opportunity comes, he's going that direction.
He's been talking about it for 3 years. So.
Yeah. I mean, he famously sent a letter to Rick Hendrick to take Jimmy Johnson's seat. Harrison Burton also potentially on the chopping block. That being said, the things have improved over there. Burton's running better, and it seems like the relationship is a little bit better. So maybe Burton gets another shot, but if he doesn't, this is a likely spot for Corey LaJoie. I think pretty good move for Corey, and I think Wood Brothers as well, right? I mean, this is getting Corey. This would get Corey in the Penske stable.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, he might have to shave the beard, but
yeah, and then cut the hair probably too.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that'd be a good move for him, right? Don't you think? I mean, anything's
that's
step
a
up
better.
From Spire.
Yeah, and if you did what Ryan Blaney did in that seat for a while, I think you're doing pretty good. The problem is that the Penske pipeline is just not there for anybody to advance.
Right.
So that's the only problem. But again, you upgrade and you get into that. You get into that stable a little bit, which is really nice. So yeah, it's a great move.
Yeah, I wonder if there's an opportunity there with Cindric. I know that Cindric obviously is family. Tim Cindric, is high up on the team, his dad. But maybe if they continue to not perform, that there might be an opportunity there to step in there somewhere down the road for somebody. But I think you could make a career in that 21 car.
You could.
I mean, in theory, it's the same equipment that when you go to the Penske shop, the car is in the shop. I mean,
yeah.
So I don't know. That'd be interesting to see. Be a good opportunity for him, surely. And like I said, step up. I mean, no offense to Spire, but about the only team you're stepping down from would be to go to Rick Ware Racing potentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the most part, there's a couple teams that are lower than Spire, but they certainly have improved, and they've improved a lot under Corey. And Corey probably would do pretty well to stay there another season too. So
yeah, and poor Harrison Burton, like I don't want to give up on him too soon.
Yeah,
I don't think he's.
You don't want to Erik Jones him.
He's just not in that. Well, yeah, he's not Erik Jones, but he's so young. He's 22.
Thing is, man, is if this car Xfinity Series performance doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah, and the problem with Harrison is he hasn't shown us any sort of flash.
Oh, there hasn't even been a flicker.
There's not even been a spark yet, and that's the concerning thing with Harrison. In Xfinity, remember in Xfinity, he had a moment with that in that 2020 season where he looked like, man, he might be coming.
Yeah.
And then he completely flamed out, and he has not done anything since, and that's the problem for him. He needs to figure out a way to I don't know. He just has to pop, and he hasn't popped yet. And I don't know if it's and the Penske cars aren't the fastest cars out there, but he's got leverage with a team that just won the championship. So
right,
it's I don't know. I mean, they share the same shop, so I gotta imagine he's gotta. I'd like to see him stay in that car one more year.
Yeah.
I think it's too early to give up on him, but I'd like to see him show me something. Give me something.
I feel like Harrison's one of those guys that needs different scenery.
Could be.
Could be. I mean, who knows? Maybe he goes over to Spire and takes Corey's spot over there.
Yeah, you do a swap there. I mean, you downgrade the equipment a little bit, but I mean, we just saw what Carson Hocevar could do, and he kind of lit a fire. So maybe I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, Penske just might not be the spot for Harrison.
And we know he's got a history with Toyota too, so maybe if Truex retires, you say, hey, I got some experience, I've won some races for you, maybe give me like a 1-year deal and see what I can do.
JGR's pretty loyal. I mean,
yeah,
that was sarcasm.
Yeah, you won that one. I'm not gonna argue with you.
Justin Haley also still has not re-signed with Colleague. However, it appears Colleague is pretty high on him, but he needs sponsorship to continue there.
A really good driver.
And we talked about Carson Hocevar. I don't think Carson's in line for a Cup ride just yet, but man, is he opening eyes over the last few weeks. And he very well could be on somebody's lists very soon for a Cup ride if he keeps doing what he's doing.
I'd keep Justin Haley if I could. I would not let him sneak away. Now that being said, a good team comes and calls knocking, he's gone. But if nobody's looking for him, hang on to him if you can.
Yeah, hey, I'm hit and miss on Haley. I think Haley's in Corey LaJoie territory. I think he's a better driver than what he shows in the seat that he's in. I don't think he's got the equipment to show what he can do.
He shows flashes. That's the thing. Like he does have moments where he's threatened to steal a win here and there, or he comes to the track and all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, he's in the top 8. Yeah, he's not going away.
He's pretty consistent too. He's at least getting decent runs. He might not be running up front, but he's consistent. So I think he fits into a role like what he's in pretty well.
Yeah.
And I'd be surprised if he goes anywhere else. Like I said, Matt Colleague has kept him in that seat. I mean, he got the Cup opportunity before AJ Allmendinger did, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
AJ might be one that, down the road we start questioning if he's not performing still. Yep. But, AJ, you put him in there and you've got, depending on how many road course races you got some shots for sure, even if he's not running well. So
I can't imagine him going anywhere.
Well, if AJ goes anywhere, it's done. He's not going to another team. He'd be hanging it up.
Yes.
Which I assume is going to happen sooner than later, but he's not at that point yet. And it's funny for me because I was so high on him last year to talk about that now. I'm not certainly suggesting that AJ's going anywhere. So
did we give him a playoff spot yet? Like, are we just locking him in to win one of these road course races, or
I don't know. He's got to do it, man. He's got to show us.
I'm waiting for it.
It's got to happen. We got a couple opportunities here coming up.
Gosh dang.
Speaking of which, we got the first opportunity this weekend, James.
Yeah, let's go.
We're on to Sonoma this weekend.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Sonoma's back the way it should be.
I like Sonoma. Sonoma's a good track. It's
always one of my favorites.
I'm excited to go back to no stages or no stage breaks this weekend.
Yep. Let's bang this thing out. Yep.
Xfinity Series will race there for the first time ever.
That's cool.
Well this weekend, so that's cool. So we get to make our picks, James. I gained on you again this week with my Ryan Blaney pick. I gained 28 points on you this week over Corey LaJoie.
Yes.
And I'm coming for you this week too because I am going to go and I'm going to take him off your list. I'm going to go with last year's winner and go Daniel Suarez as my pick.
You taking Danny, eh?
I am taking Danny.
Well, so I was, I still have AJ Allmendinger on my board,
Yeah.
but I don't need to use him yet, which is good for me. Like Chicago Street's coming up and Watkins Glen, which would be really nice.
I think Watkins Glen is a better pick for AJ than here.
Indianapolis road course.
Indy's a really good pick for AJ.
So I can bank on AJ here. I don't have to use him up just yet. So that being said, I'm going to surprise you here a little bit.
All right.
I'm going to go with Mr. Comeback after sitting out a week. And I'm going to take Chase Elliott here.
Nice. That's a good pick.
I don't know how well it's going to play for me, but I'm going to take him.
That's an interesting pick. He's going to
I
have
was
something
thinking
to
about
prove.
I haven't seen anything out of him at any of the ovals just yet, so maybe he's got some road course speed. But I'm gonna see if I can't steal one here. The Corey LaJoie pick for me did not pan out super well last week.
It did not.
Extremely disappointed.
But you probably wouldn't have made that pick had it not been had you not had the giant lead, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, I've got some room to kind of work with, and it wasn't. I mean, he didn't go out there and score 1 point, so yeah, he didn't get me 35, but he didn't get me 10.
Right.
So I guess it's not terrible. But then again, you picked Corey earlier in the season. You got 34, so it's kind of disappointing. So
yeah, he happened to not wreck at that Atlanta race unlike last year, so it worked out for me.
Yeah.
All right, Sonoma this weekend. How'd fantasy go this week, James?
Well, I made the awesome error of not. It's not an error if you're just bad, but I didn't get any bonus points, and had I gotten something, I would have had a lot better of a week than I did. That's for sure. But the winner this week was just a moment.
I had it up, but then I just closed it.
I did. I know.
I
I accidentally closed it. Cole Custer's last stand got the win. It was a big week, 253, nice week. Ranger had a big week, 249, and Mickey Elliott again. Like I feel like he's third every single week. But 248, 1 point out of second. So third place for Mickey Elliott. I was down to eighth with 219. I had 219 and I got no bonus points. But I did beat Barron, so I'll take it. Eric, you were 12th. I mean, you had 193. Like, that's not terrible.
That's the thing is I thought I was doing pretty well. I had the winner. I mean, but I also failed on I failed on Ty Gibbs and Tyler Reddick. I had both of them in my lineup. Those
and I had Reddick and I benched him early after he spun and never put him back in, and thankfully I didn't because he crashed out. So, but I had Harvick, I had Blaney, I had everybody but Kyle Busch. So, oh well, what are you gonna do? Barron Speedway is still first. He's the first member of the 3,000 club. Nice. Tandem Draft Tona is 286 or 2,861 in second, and Mickey Elliott, speaking of third place, right there, locked in third, and then Ranger leapfrogged me into fourth. I'm fifth. Eric, you are seventh.
There you go.
There's a little bit of a separation between fifth and sixth. Other than that, it's fairly tight between second to fifth. Not too far of I mean, it's less than 90 points. So, but Barron, he's on another planet. So, still fighting with that one.
There you go. Before we get to shout outs, I was going to include this in my shout out, but I'll mention it. We'll talk about it now real quick. IndyCar returned to the streets of Detroit this weekend with the IndyCar Detroit Grand Prix. Great race, I thought. I thought it was really good. You kind of made your comment about follow the leader, but there was some passing in this one. There were some angry drivers. It was some good stuff. I thought it. I really like Belle Isle. I think Belle Isle is a beautiful setting. The fountain there at Belle Isle is really cool. The track is neat there, but to put this sucker downtown, there was like 40% of the track could be viewed for free. They just did a terrific job putting this event on downtown, and I think IndyCar succeeded with it, and it was pretty cool to see.
Yep. So. I mean, it's hard, man. I loved seeing the cars race on places that I've kind of walked. Right. It's kind of cool. I mean, God, I've went running downtown when I've stayed down there a few times for conferences and stuff. And I'm like, God dang, they're driving on,
right.
Places where I've, been down. So that's actually pretty cool. Like the thing with I've never been to Belle Isle. Been by it a million times, but I never watched a race there or anything. So that was cool. But was missing Belle Isle just a little bit because I just think it's so nice. But
having attended Belle Isle and been bused to the track, I mean, first of all, when you're in downtown Detroit and the race is on in Belle Isle, the only way you know anything's going on is the decal on the side of the Renaissance Center. Otherwise, there is no sign anywhere that there's a race going on in the city. You can't get there without taking a bus. I mean, it's impossible. And this, I mean, you couldn't miss it because they shut down one of the main drags in downtown. I thought it was pretty cool. There's a hotel that we used to stay in right across from the Renaissance Center. When we go to Supercross down there in Detroit, and I told my wife, I said, yep, that where we pull in there, they were doing about 170 miles an hour. It's like, that's pretty damn cool. You know?
I mean, they did look cool downtown. I mean, it looked legit.
I think Lee Diffie said 95 manhole covers had to be welded shut.
Oh my God.
For this race.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the IMSA crash too, that was downtown. Holy smokes, man. That was
incredible.
A big one. Yeah.
So good on them. And you know, we joked about before the show started that, you know, we went from all of the pomp and circumstance of people thrilled that this race is back downtown Detroit, and in a couple of weeks NASCAR is going to go to Chicago, and they're not going to be welcomed the way Detroit welcomed IndyCar, and that's not a good thing. I hope, like I told you, James, before we started, money talks. If everybody leaves with nice big wallets from Chicago, it'll be a success and people will be happy. But
yes,
it's going to take that to make it successful.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Oh, man. Yep.
With that, James, I still have a bunch of shout outs. So do you got any shout outs before I run through my list?
I'll knock out two really quick.
Okay.
Tony Stewart Racing did a retweet, which Eric, I don't know if you know this. Smoke has lost weight, like legitimately lost weight.
Yeah.
And I saw the picture of him. I'm like, he does not look like he could get in an IndyCar.
Well, maybe.
Maybe. But anyway, they retweeted a picture of him and he's wearing a sweatshirt that just simply says "The Goat." I kind of want it.
Nice.
That's a good one. I actually have three shout outs. The second one, Hendrick Motorsports tweeted out last week that they have new merchandise that is part of their Eras collection, and it's Tim Richmond.
Oh man.
And I've retweeted it, and I said, "Take my money." I haven't placed my order yet. They have this old school Folgers hat with the white string on it. Might have to get myself one of those with 25 on the side.
Dude, I bought the Josh
sweet.
Williams Parkett shirt. I gotta buy a Tim Richmond shirt, man.
Oh my God! Dude,
so we know what Noah Gregson's gonna be wearing for the rest of the season, then, right?
I hope so. Yeah. Well, and speaking of which, nice segue. That's my last shout out. When his brake rotor exploded, it hit a fan.
Yes. Oh yeah. Cool story.
And they tweeted and said, "Hey man, hate that." Basically hate that you got in a wreck, but you have to welt on my chest.
Right.
For one, that's kind of a problem. We shouldn't have fans getting hit. But Noah Gregson said, "Hey, DM me, and I'll take care of you. I'll make it right." So that's pretty cool. I just thought that was awesome that they tweeted at him and he saw it. And that guy's got a big ass welt on his chest.
Yeah.
So kind of scary, but also like, hey, kind of a cool, I guess, situation at the end. So that'll be my last shout out.
Dude, $40 for this hat.
I know it's a little pricey, but damn, it looks cool.
It's so cool. So do they have shirts too?
I don't know if they have shirts. I didn't dive that far. They have Jeff Gordon. They have Jeff Gordon retro hats too with the DuPont.
Yeah, I see
on
that.
there. Oh my God.
Oh damn, they don't have Tim Richmond. If they had a Tim Richmond shirt, they got a Jimmy Johnson 7 times champ shirt. That's pretty cool. They have a current era Tim Richmond hat too. Man,
they have a bunch of different. Yes, they have some options. Yep.
Man, that new era golfer cap, man, that's pretty cool. If that was mesh back, dude, I'd be all over it.
I really hate, one of the things I hate the most about when I was born is that I missed the Tim Richmond era.
Yeah.
But I have the 30 for 30 DVD. Like, I keep that.
I bought the 30 for 30 on iTunes just so I could watch it.
Yep, and now we have ESPN Plus. I think it's there forever. Yeah. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I have that DVD, and I've watched it a handful of times. Especially when I was working with you, and I had no TV up at the place I was staying. I used to watch DVDs all the time. That Tim Richmond one got used up.
I was
back then.
too young during the Tim Richmond era. I lived through it, but wasn't aware of it until long after.
Yeah, that was my Davey Allison experience.
Yeah.
Like, I was aware of Davey Allison and remember when he passed and things like that, but I didn't get to see Tim Richmond do his thing.
Yeah.
But man, just the fact that I know that he was gone and he was super sick, and he comes back and he's just freaking winning races. Like,
Right.
what kind of a wheelman must that guy have been?
Can you imagine if he could have had a full career?
Oh my God, he would have stole some titles from people.
Yeah, he would have.
He's in that club, like him and Ernie and Davey. Like,
Yep.
if they don't die, like, or get hurt, like Ernie got hurt,
Yep.
there's some championships that could have been had there. So
Yep, I agree. All right, let me run through my list. I got 4 shout-outs.
Hit 'em.
So,
Let's
but
go.
They're all pretty similar. So Saturday night, I made my trip out to Birch Run Speedway. They had their second annual Downright Awesome Modified Show. James, they had 56 modified show up to run this. $21,000 to win a 26 driver feature, 100 laps at Birch Run. Great race. It was pretty exciting. There was a big wreck right in front of us. Took a while for the show to get in, but very cool to see that. Benefits Hurley Medical Center and children with Down syndrome, so a very cool event. Like I said, they were calling it I know everybody hypes this stuff up and they say things that aren't necessarily true, but they were calling it the richest modified show in the country. So $21,000 to win is nothing to sneeze at, though, for a series that a lot of times, modifieds, you're talking $8,000 to win is a big night. So
that's crazy.
Wednesday night at Berlin Raceway, it is the Money in the Bank 150. Erik Jones is running. Bubba Pollard, Carson Hocevar going to be making their starts out there. William Byron, last year's winner, is not defending this year. He will not be there. But I will be, James. I'm going to be out there on Wednesday night to watch the race at Berlin. So
get Eric on the pod. I got 2 things for you. Get Eric on the pod, and can you get us SRX credentials, please?
Yeah, I'm trying, man. I tried. We'll see.
I tried too. I sent him 2 emails.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I sent SRX directly 2 emails.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to call Smoke.
There you go.
Be like, Smoke.
I don't know, man. I don't know what happened. I was doing great with credentials, had no issues. Now I'm struggling to get them. Atlanta denied me. I'm going as a fan when I go to Atlanta this summer.
Well,
I got shot down at North Wilkesboro. Yeah, I don't know. Nashville shot me down.
Somebody listened to the podcast.
I don't know.
I'm looking at the Money in the Bank list of drivers right now.
Yeah, it's a good list.
Good drivers on there, man.
Yeah, give me a good event. I missed it last year. Weather and some family commitments kept me from going. So I'm making the trip this year. I even got a hotel room that night. I'm gonna stay the night down there, rather than try and drive home. So I'm excited about that. Saturday, the JEG CRA All-Star Late Model Tour will make its return to Owasso Speedway, first time in 5 years. That'll be a fun event as well. I'll be out there at that. And then next Saturday, June 17th, the ARCA Menard Series makes its return to Berlin Raceway, the Berlin ARCA 200. Not sure if I'm making the trip for that. But the ARCA cars are awesome at Berlin. So, nice tight short track.
Are you going to Owasso for the first time to watch a race?
This will be the first time I've ever been to Owasso.
Oh man, I can't. Yeah,
I'm excited for it. I'm excited.
It looks great.
I'm excited to see who will be there because Hocevar runs a lot of the CRA races. I don't know if the trucks are racing next weekend or not. I can't remember.
I remember how big Owasso's banking seemed to me as a kid, and I wonder if it'll hit you the same way as it hit me.
I don't know. They got a wall all the way around the place now.
Yeah, I used to have. Yeah, I've seen cars go off the back of that track before. Yep. So
they've done some big things out there. I'm excited, and they're doing more over the next couple years. But they got some crappy announcer. His name's Roger, I think. Roger Williams. Helps out there, so I'm gonna go say hi to him.
Is he working out there now?
Oh yeah, he's doing asphalt stuff now on Saturday nights. Yep. So yeah, just inside joke. Roger, I worked with at Tri-City, so we love Roger. He's a good guy. One of the best in the business, although he'll act really modest and act like he's not that good at it. But he does a good job. And if you really
care about him, you just tell him to shut up.
Yep, shut up, Roger. So that's my shout outs for the week. Lots of short track racing. I kind of lost opportunities on some credentials this year, decided to change some things around and going to do a lot of the short track stuff this year. Like I said, I'm going to Atlanta, but will not be there as a media member. And then I think I'm bailing on Bristol as well. So right now, just Michigan. As long as they approve my credentials there, I'll be there as a journalist. And if not,
I saw the Chicago thing was looking for credentialed media. So if you wanted to go to that show.
Good. I missed that one. We're going to miss that one. I don't need to be in that. What do they call it on DBC? The She Show? Short for you know what?
Yeah.
Any black flags this week, James?
Oh, just Fox and all that mess, whatever that was. I don't know if it was totally Fox's fault.
Yeah, I was going to say, so this is my black flag too, and you cannot put it on Fox. Because
it's not. Well, hold on. Let me take my portion, then I'll pass the baton.
Go ahead. Okay.
Because I am going to give Fox a hard time. Okay. Can we not put Kenny Wallace on?
Oh
anymore?
my God, yeah. I'm sorry. Kenny Wallace is no.
And then the saga of Michael Waltrip's cell phone. I
thought it was pretty funny.
I
enjoyed it. I watched it during the delay. I thought it was pretty good.
I mean, we sang Fox's praises last week, and I don't know, man.
I like the cell phone thing. I thought it was funny. I thought the best part about it was
he got it back, which was
the best part for me was that so many times Fox misses the accident with their cameras, but they managed to have a camera on Michael dropping his cell phone off the wall when he jumped over it.
Yeah.
That was and it's not just Fox. They all miss
the best
happens. But.
The best shot they got was the old guy sleeping during the last red flag.
Yeah.
And then Bromberg chimed in with when the race refuses to end. And I'm like, well, yeah.
Oh my God, what a long race for the shortest race of the year.
Anyway, now I will let you go ahead.
All right, mine is just Gateway for power issues. Whoever's responsible for it. It wasn't Fox. Fox isn't the reason the power went out.
NASCAR said it was the fiber away from the track. It had nothing to do with NASCAR or the track.
Yeah, well, at least we didn't lose lights. We've done that before here. But the drivers, the teams didn't have SMT data, which is fine with me because I hate that SMT data. I wish none of them had it. The war wagon or the war booths or whatever the hell they're called at the shops couldn't communicate with the teams on pit road. I love that too. That's the way that should be.
Yep.
So some old school racing as a result, but MRN was off the air for a while too. We got to see a horse racing commercial on Fox when it went dark.
Oh my God.
And everybody was blasting Fox right away, but yeah, it wasn't Fox's fault. So anyway, get your crap together out there, Gateway. St. Louis, man. Come on, you guys. It's not really St. Louis, so it's across the river. But,
well, it's no wonder they lost their football team.
Right?
I mean,
But, man, if it's baseball, they are all about the baseball down there.
I tell you what.
I have a coworker. See, we have two newspapers down there, and one of them covered the race this weekend. I was going to go down there and help them this year, but didn't end up doing it. But anyway, they covered the race, and one of our reporters down there is a diehard St. Louis Cardinals fan, and it is, I mean, good on him, man. That place loves their baseball. It is a baseball town.
They're annoying because they beat the Tigers.
Says the Lakers fan. I mean,
I know, former. Get the key word in there.
Yeah, well, still.
Once Jack Wagon, La Loser, once he leaves.
For those of you, I mean, for everybody listening, we've been ragging on James all day about LeBron, so. He's not a fan of LeBron.
Oh, God. Well, he'll be at the 24-hour Le Mans. I guess we can shout him out, too.
There you go. Well, James, if people want to give you crap about LeBron, how can they do it?
Don't do it. James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me on Twitter at TSuperspeedway. Our podcast is on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Anchor. Subscribe for new episodes each week, and if you go to anchor.fm/thesuperspeedway. Guys, you need to do this, or I'm going to stop reading it because nobody's leaving us audio messages. Leave us an audio message, anchor.fm/thesuperspeedway. We may play it on the show. NASCAR returns to Sonoma this weekend. The old Sonoma, the new Sonoma. Because it was the old Sonoma, and then they redid it, and then they went back to the old, and now they're back to the... Anyway, Sonoma this weekend, NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series in action. We'll be back next week to break it all down, and we'll be getting ever so much closer to that Chicago street course, James.
Oh my God!
On our schedule,
and we get a week off.
Yeah, we get a week off.
Oh, don't forget the week off.
Yeah, we will not be recording during the week off, probably.
No, I unless
does that mean
somebody?
No. Anyway, yeah, we'll be back next week to break it all down. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.